What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Not a Podcast. It's been a while. I'm John, and I'm here with Infinity on Hannah.
Yay! I'm the co-host still.
Yeah, and we haven't done an episode in a while. Apologize for that. We have ideas, but it's always at inconvenient times, I feel like.
Yeah, we've been really busy, and we're finally moved in together, so it should be easier for us to do these. But,
right, but...
here we are.
Yeah, so episode 1 of 2018, and we do have some rather...
Is it really?
Yeah, this is the first episode that we've done.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
episode 1.
We have another one that we need to do yet, but
we'll do that.
It'll happen.
That'll
we just
happen.
Don't know when yet.
And I do have a couple of... we've got a couple ideas.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Hopefully this will become at least like a once-a-month thing we're planning to, so stay tuned, and hopefully... we never remember to look into this, but we have to get this on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, let's see what everyone thinks of this podcast. Maybe we'll try and keep doing some more consistently. You can request topics and stuff too.
And if you do need an audio-only version of this, it'll be up on SoundCloud. I will leave a link in the description of the YouTube video. So today we're going to be talking about some deeper topics, some stuff that requires discussion and not just, I don't think, in a video. I think that this definitely merits it. We were inspired by an interview that we saw with Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco. We've also got a couple of songs that we want to talk about, or I guess a couple of ideas of potential songs that we want to talk about. Some new music. Who's got new music on the works and could already be out into the world before we release this?
Well, I guess 21 Pilots, today is the day that they're supposed to be coming back.
Right, today, July 6th is the day that we're recording this. I don't know when this is going out, but...
Yeah, but I'm sure by the time it's out, it'll be released. But,
probably. Who knows?
No one really knows what's going on. Right now, they're still sleeping, I guess.
Yeah,
that email.
Then I was about to say, you got an email this morning saying they're still sleeping or something like that. I'm just tired of all this crypticness.
Just give it to me.
Give me the music. I don't care. I mean, I know the fan base really cares, and they love decoding stuff, and they love being teased to death, but I'm not really into that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of bores me at this point. Like, I
Tease
really
culture,
care.
cryptic culture.
Because haven't the fan base, like... I'm pretty sure they came up with, like, 3 or 4 different, like, oh, they're coming back tomorrow or whatever, like, over the last, like, 6 months.
Yes.
And it's just, like, come on. Like, obviously they haven't. Now I think obviously they are because a radio station kind of confirmed that.
Right.
But still, it just kind of annoys me.
Cryptic culture.
Yeah, no thanks.
Not so cryptic things, although still a bit cryptic. Fall Out Boy are apparently working on a new EP featuring, what was it, a reworked version of something?
Yeah, Lake Effect Kid was a demo song that they put out around the time of Fully, and it was on that new administration thing.
Yeah, wasn't that just for the fans?
Yeah, I think so.
Like the people who were actually in their fan club.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
I mean, you should remember because you were...
I was in that.
Older back then.
But I have the old shirts from like
yeah.
the fan club and stuff, and I have the most recent one I have is from the Save Rock and Roll. What was it? The Rainy Day Kids or something like that. The Overcast Kids. Yeah,
I have that too.
I was in that, and I got the umbrella shirt and stuff.
I was supposed to get the umbrella shirt, but I like got the membership on some kind of discount or something. So they were like, "Oh, you don't get a shirt."
Oh,
and I was so mad.
That's like the only thing that I thought was actually worth it.
Because they didn't do anything in the fan club at that time, but...
Right.
Anyways, yeah, apparently they're putting out an EP of some sort under that name, Lake Effect Kid. I'm really hoping it's not just an EP with that name on it, kind of like the 1975 Music for Cars.
But it's not that at all.
So it's like, I really hope they're not just using that name. I'm hoping they're gonna, like, do something
maybe update it a bit, maybe actually give it a full studio version. I'm concerned though, given their recent directions, that I hope that it's not like a huge rap feature on it or something, because you know the way that the demo starts, it has like
kind of more like
hip hop. They have somebody like announcing it like it's like a DJ or something, and that was that was a decade ago. And for them to bring it back at this point, I feel like Fall Out Boy are going to be like, well, it's got way too many guitars on it and it's way too pop punky. Let's just like strip it away, because I don't think they're going to want it to sound like the Foley era. Unfortunately, I would love for it to.
Because Fall Out Boy, they have said multiple times like they don't want to do things from the past. Like, they don't want to keep making the same stuff. So that kind of, I mean, that sounds bad, but, like, it kind of scares me for this project because I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Right.
Or else, like, what are the other songs going to sound like? Is it going to be more like this Mania, like, hip-hop, whatever, fusion?
Weird reggae collab
Yeah.
with the Lake Effect Kid featuring Burna Boy.
Yeah, I saw some other people saying that they're hoping it's like PAX Am Days, but I don't think it's gonna be like that.
You never know because that EP surprised the hell out of me.
Oh, I know. I don't think it's gonna sound like that. Is what I mean.
Sure.
I feel like that project was its own thing, and I don't think they would just make another one because that's kind of silly.
Right, and still at that point in time in Fall Out Boy, I think that was of course right after Save Rock and Roll that came pretty quickly. You know, I was still on board with Fall Out Boy's new direction at that point, and you know, Save Rock and Roll has aged pretty gracefully, I would say. Overall, a good album. And PAX Am Days is very cool, very unique, and I thought that when that came out, they were hinting at the direction of future stuff.
Nope.
Quite the opposite of that. Quite the opposite.
So I don't really know what to expect, but either way, I don't know when it's coming, but I guess it's coming.
Right. How has Mania held up for you? Have you revisited it anytime recently?
Not at all, honestly.
I haven't either.
Other than maybe one or two songs.
Sure.
But, like, even the ones I liked, I honestly have not, like, went in my library and looked any of them up individually or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll let my phone go on shuffle or whatever, and
if they come to you,
but I mean, I don't find myself like getting crazy into it if it does come on.
It's basically like saying like, I'm not opposed to having another glass of tea, but I'm not going to go get it myself. If you bring me a glass of tea,
if I'm stuck with it, then
I'll drink it. I guess I'll finish. I might not even finish it, which is like the equivalent of like skipping before the song's over.
You should have said alcohol.
Yes, I'll take another
like
shot.
If you want to buy it for me, of course I'll drink it.
Right, but if you're not gonna bring it to me, then I'm just probably gonna go home
or fall asleep.
Yeah. Exactly. So, navigating into some darker waters, we do have some pretty serious stuff that we want to talk about today. And I think at the focal point here, the main thing that we're going to be honing in on, the overall topic, is cancel culture. And that's... Yeah, I know. Everybody's favorite thing to discuss. And I feel like even putting this out here, people are going to get offended, and people are going to make assumptions that they know all of our views on everything, but it's just something where I feel like if nobody stands up and talks about their counterpoints to things, then what are we doing? We're moving into some very weird territory. And I saw the headline of this article, The Death of American Forgiveness, that I found to be very interesting, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with cancel culture and people just not wanting to hear anything, and especially if it's like one or two incidents like we've got of something happening that's, you know, unfortunate, not good. Yeah. I'm not talking about the monsters like Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's different.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the absolute fucking disgusting human beings that have a pattern of abuse like Chris Brown or, you know, people like that.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm talking about. I guess I'm more so talking about things that we don't have all the facts on, of course. Tumblr posts that are written, blog posts, things that are written anonymously to take people down and ruin careers.
Yeah, really anybody can go on the computer and write something about anybody, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to believe you at this point, and I don't want to say that, like, if you are someone that has experienced something, like, don't come out about it. Like, obviously you should. I don't know if that's the right approach in this day and age anymore, because, I mean, not that no one's going to believe you, but it's just, like, everyone's doing it now that it kind of, I don't know, it just like creates a huge uproar over sometimes nothing or something that isn't as serious as it's, you know, made out to be.
Right.
And
I literally will type in musicians' names sometimes on Twitter, and people are out there literally just trying to they knowingly know that these things are false, that they put out there and promote or retweet, or even some of these accounts that will pick things up. I can't call to mind a specific, like, verified
Yeah.
account, but like news accounts and stuff just run with it. And of course, they normally advertise it as speculation, but even that
The
is
headlines don't say that,
the
though.
headline is troubling to an artist or a musician or a filmmaker or whoever it is, his career, because this is their livelihood, and you're putting it out there. This isn't an actual allegation, but say, for example, someone was like, Brendan Urie is abusive towards his wife, Sarah. And it's like allegations is in the title too. But seeing the abuser thing in the title of the article already puts it into people's mind that he's an abuser.
Millions of people are just going to see that word and then instantly draw the conclusion for themselves. And I think that's why it's unfair. Like, in 2018, like, you know, everyone says, like, oh, fake news, but it's literally true.
It's very true.
Just Twitter moments and stuff, like you see.
Shane
everything.
Dawson. We already talked about that in the podcast. That was that was the leading Twitter moment for a day.
That was insane, and it wasn't true at all.
Yeah,
it's based on lies.
Right, and that's just so saddening to me because even at that time, I've become more of a fan of Shane since then in his content. I've never disliked him as a person at all. In fact, I think he's a pretty great person.
Yeah,
but it was just troubling because we were really seeing even more of a turning point in the fact that literally anybody was just running with anything. And we do have a fake news problem. I don't agree with Donald Trump on much. And I think a lot of the stuff that he says about fake news and what he thinks is fake news is bullshit. But bringing to the limelight that there is the idea of fake news, it's incredibly troubling. And I like the fact that Facebook is cracking down on things. They're taking measures.
Yeah, that's a big platform.
But Twitter, holy shit, we have
really
a cesspool of negativity, and
people are just waiting these days for somebody to fuck up or, you know, fail.
It's drag culture.
Dragging them.
Dragging them.
They cannot wait to like go off about this person. And you have to realize that these people are human as well. Like, the celebrity or whoever you're talking about or whoever you want to end their career, like, it's their career. And
when you're put in the spotlight, you're going to probably make some mistakes because you don't know how to handle everything.
Or else any of your mistakes from the past are going to be brought up, of course, because that's what people like to do. And it's going to paint a different picture of that person. And, you know, think about this, like, any of you, like, I'm sure we've all done something stupid or said something stupid. You could look through any of our Facebook pages and find something probably offensive or something
problematic,
ignorant that we didn't know what we were even talking about. But that's the whole point. We didn't know what we were talking about. But some people do that to celebrities. They'll bring something out and be like, well, they said this.
Well, celebrities aren't always informed on things, and they're not always maybe the most sensitive or delicate in every situation, but I think that people make them walk on eggshells and, sure, hold them to a higher standard, which, in a way, they should be because they're responsible for their own actions.
But when it's the past, I feel like it's a little bit different.
Especially if they've continuously shown that they are a different person at this point or aren't like that, and, you know, you've got men and women both speaking out defending them, but people still don't really get on board with the whole, let's not cancel this person. It's just irritating because I feel like people, like you said, are just waiting for people to fail. And more often than not, I feel like a lot of the time, it's men. They're looking to take down men that are in a position of power. And I agree that so many have taken advantage of, but that's not a reason to
go after everyone and anyone.
You're trying to pull the legs out they're trying to cut the legs off of really everybody in the industry, thinking everybody's an abuser, everybody's a monster, everybody knew about it, when it's just like situations where a band doesn't necessarily always know about somebody in their own band that was doing something wrong. Like, for example, with Confidence.
Yeah, I think that's a little unfair to throw an entire group under the bus for one person's actions. I mean, you don't do that to someone's whole family. If somebody robbed a bank, you're not going to put their whole family in jail.
No,
you know what I mean?
And you also cannot still fault the people, even if somebody did rob a bank. Are you going to fault that family for trying to be there for that person?
Their choice.
Right, but no, but
go do this,
But what I'm saying, are you going to fault the family for still being supportive of the son, the daughter, whoever did it? Say, for example, you robbed a bank. Would it be wrong for me, your mom, my parents to still try and support you and understand that you made a mistake? No, I don't think that would be wrong, because people should want the best for somebody. They should want somebody to, yeah, and they should want them to be rehabilitated. But instead, you want to drag them on Twitter. You want to find an old tweet from 2011 and make their whole career fall down. For what? Your 15 seconds of fame on fucking Twitter? So you can get on a Twitter moment and have your tweet featured? Oh, at random Joe Blow discovered that, you know, somebody from this band said something slightly homophobic in 2009 on their MySpace account, and now it's being brought to the limelight, and their tour has been canceled, they lost all their sponsors, etc., etc.
Right.
It's bullshit. And
it's like, where do you draw the line? And that reminds me of the Brendan Urie interview, because they asked him what he thinks about that, and maybe you could read what his answer was.
Sure, absolutely. The question was, are you behind cancel culture? And this was Brendan Urie's response. Here's where I draw the line. If the liberals are saying, quote, hey, why are you fining these NFL players for kneeling during the anthem? And at the same time, screaming, fire Roseanne. They are doing the exact same thing that the conservatives are doing. I get it, but we have to understand, yes, Roseanne made the worst tweet, but we're taking people's careers away. I don't know where to draw the line, because I do think obviously that's horrible, but I think we need to look at patterns. If a person says something a few times but they are not acting on it, it's a very sticky situation, end quote. That's Brendan Urie.
Yeah, I totally agree with him there. He seemed like a little unsure in places, but I think everyone does.
I think we should. We all need to be unsure, because every situation is different.
Right. You can't just like say, it's not like something that you can just say for everything, because everyone has a different thing that happens or whatever they do. But yeah, like I think it is like the same thing he was saying, like, oh, the Republicans like boycotting stuff and firing everybody.
Right. They liberals act like conservatives are the only ones to get worked up.
It's both sides.
No, because the liberals, okay, conservatives might be screaming, you know, one thing, but liberals might be out here screaming, you know, cancel this, end this, and they take important movements like the Me Too movement and they turn it into something that is like a violent gang online that just tears people down and drags people.
In the long run, that's hurting the actual cause and the actual victims and people that, like, you know, for serious stuff, because we're focusing too much on other, like, insignificant things. And sure, like, somebody could have said something awful, whatever, like, yeah, like, they deserve to, you know, like, people can, like, shed light on that stuff, but I just think they take it too far.
And it's like Brendan said in this very interview, we need to educate them instead of consistently dragging him.
Because what's that going to do? Pushing them away? Like,
right, it just turns them and makes them more bitter. It's
not trusting of
us. You know what? This actually calls to mind a weird example, but I think one that would be fitting here. We've been watching the show Degrassi, right?
I was going to bring this up.
And you know what? There's a character who is the kid that has the glasses who's known as an abuser. Is his name Rick? Okay, so Rick on this show, he is somebody who is an abuser. He abuses his girlfriend in the show. It's shown. But once he's convicted of this, obviously.
Well, let's mention also, like, he, like, pushed her down and she got in a coma. So it was something really serious.
And it was after he had already shown a pattern of abuse.
Right.
So,
but this is a year later almost.
He returns to the school.
He comes back to school, and of course everyone is like shunning him and like literally not letting him walk through the doors, like pushing him down, basically bullying him.
It's the equivalent of maybe all your friends blocking you on Twitter these days.
And it's just funny because they were doing this whole like end violence campaign, and then they all like beat him up.
Yeah,
it's
after
just like,
school.
well, what is that gonna do? Like, if you're just pushing that person down, you're making absolutely no chance that they're ever gonna want to get better.
They're never gonna change.
He was trying, and I would not trust him fully, but like at least he's in counseling. He's trying to be a better person. He's like, you know, extending his hand out, like he's trying to, you know, be accepted again, and they just won't.
They won't do it. They won't listen to him. They won't hear, and they won't forgive. And they even one character gets to the point where she's starting to feel like she should forgive him, and she's peer pressured, which is the equivalent of retweets and other people saying certain things now. She's peer pressured into basically abusing him again. She trips him, makes him fall, and then after that he's taken outside and gets the shit kicked out of him and beat up. But she eventually has to be the one to stand up and defend him, and it's like, who is going to stand up and put a barrier between these people who might have done something really bad, but also say, all right, enough's enough, educate this person. For example, Rick from this fictional show, never put him in charge of anything to do with, like, women's education or anything like that again. But maybe, who's to say someday he couldn't be a motivational speaker that talks out about abuse and ends the pattern? Maybe there was somebody in his life that abused him.
Those are the type of people that are going to change it because, like, they've done it themselves or they've had it done to them. Only them can turn their lives around.
Only they can understand.
Share that experience.
Right.
I think that's going to hit closer to home more. And they're not even giving him the opportunity. Like, you don't have to be his friend, but, like, just, you don't have to push him around.
If somebody, okay,
let's
take it back to the real world here and say, you know, if somebody is literally trying and people are out there apologizing, I'm by no means I've never been a fan of Roseanne. I was scared of her as a kid. I didn't think she was funny. I still don't think she's funny.
I wasn't a fan.
I've never been a fan, so I am in no way biased. People think that with the whole brand new situation that I was extremely biased because, okay, you're a fan of the music. Okay, well, with that, I was never a fan of the people. I knew nothing about the people in the band. I still love their music and still continue to listen to their music. Yeah. But if I had liked Roseanne, the show, would I stop watching it now because of something that the person in real life said? Probably not. I was never a fan, but I think that she made a really bad tweet. Of course, a racist tweet, a racially motivated tweet towards Valerie Jarrett, somebody that was working during the Obama administration, right? But what do you think about what happened with her show? Immediately after that, ABC brings back a character that is known as conservative, known as supporting Trump and everything like that. Not to say that they knew that she had maybe racial tensions or problems with racism or something like that, but they brought back somebody who's clearly kind of a firecracker that could go off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think about what happened?
I was, like, honestly really surprised that they were that quick to cancel the entire show. It just came back, and it was doing well.
Huge ratings.
I was shocked. I mean, I wasn't shocked, but I was just like, wow, like, they actually canceled it over a tweet.
Right.
Like, and like you said, like, her character on that show is kind of like that already. Right. So, like, not that we should be allowing her to speak that way, but I don't know if that's the right way.
Yeah, I think that
fix it. That's just going to push her away, and then she's probably going to want to speak out.
Right,
more.
Because right now the problem is that I don't think that she responded to it amazingly. I think that she was inconsistent all over the place, but she's done interviews actually going out and apologizing, reaching out to Valerie Jarrett, the person, and apologizing. If we shoot down these apologies, who the fuck are we as human beings? If we reject,
what do we want?
Like, what do you want? When is enough? There's
never enough.
There's no line in the sand. When can people get better if we don't allow them to get better?
Exactly.
I'm literally boiling right now because it makes me so mad. I see these people on Twitter, these accounts that are hiding behind these avatars, that are hiding behind these usernames that are just not actually the person, and they will drag anybody, they'll take anybody down, and they look for any reason to find that somebody is problematic. But when do you ever take a look at yourself and see when you're maybe the problem? When do you ever look and see that maybe there's an opportunity to educate rather than to tear down? I'll fully admit that I've been in situations where I probably maybe could have, whether it's a viewer or somebody else I'm responding to, there's situations that call to be harsh, sure, or to be funny or whatever. But there's opportunities, especially when somebody's career is up in limbo, that we could educate somebody, that we could, instead of ending them or canceling them, sure, sometimes that's what it takes because there's monsters out there that are lurking among us, plenty that I'm sure we haven't even discovered.
Yeah, but I think it's just becoming a ridiculous trend to, cancel everybody and anybody who's
for
done
anything,
and you don't even know if it's true.
Look at the Aziz Ansari thing.
Yeah, that one was a big one.
Oh,
I don't know all the details for that one, but
okay. So there was a story on, I believe, what is called Babe.com or Babe.net, and somebody anonymously wrote a op-ed for them or whatever, detailing their experiences. And basically, what it boiled down to, it's like when somebody oversells a story trying to make it more intense and more dramatic than it is. It was a crossing of signals and a sexual encounter. And during this, Ansari brought this girl home. They had met at a party or something, and then they went out on a date. And the whole thing was that my date with Aziz Ansari was the worst night of my life, or something like that. And in reality, she's putting him in this very awkward position because they had sex, I'm pretty sure, or else engaged in other sexual activities and stuff. And she never told him no. She never said stop or anything like that. But she said that she gave indicators with her eyes and like other stuff like that. And they've been out drinking. They've been out in the club or whatever
like
it is, flirting. And, it's not like one of those things. It's like, are we to the point where we literally need to, every time we say something, is it okay if I touch your arm? Is it okay if I touch your back? Is it okay if I unhook your bra?
Can I penetrate you?
Can I penetrate you? With
in the moment, you know what I mean? And I don't want to sound like an asshole, but it's literally a miscommunication issue on both ends. It's never one person. I think it's both of you. You need to either discuss before you go into the bedroom what's okay, what you want to do, what you're here for.
Before you even get in the cab or the Uber to go back to the apartment.
You need to make sure you're both on the same page so that stuff doesn't happen. And I think a lot of the time, these men, it's usually men that are are the ones that he didn't listen to me or whatever, didn't pick out my signals.
Right.
It's I don't know, when you're in the moment, I think it's different. And if you really like someone, how are you actually really supposed to know if you don't discuss it first?
Especially if you don't really know the person very well, then how do I know what your body signals are? We just went out on our first date, or your second date, or whatever.
That reminds me of the sorority noise situation with Cam Boucher, which that one really got me mad because I believe that band... I really respect that band.
Sure, me too. They've been through a lot.
The stuff they write about is very personal, and I feel like he's a good guy. Maybe he's been through some shit, and maybe he has done some shit, but I feel like the person he is right now, I don't know, he seems like a good guy.
I think that they're good advocates for mental health and somebody openly talking about struggles with depression and losing friends and stuff like that. I think that it's an avenue that it's helped a lot of people.
Right. And so it wasn't a girlfriend, it was just I think someone...
An on and off hookup.
Yeah.
A friend.
Yeah, so they, the way she wrote this kind of pissed me off because there were people, it was on Reddit, I believe.
Yeah, Reddit post.
And there were people going, people on both sides saying, oh, this was miscommunication, other people saying this is rape. And those are two very different things.
A miscommunication and a rape is a huge, to accuse somebody of rape, I don't think people understand the power of that word.
Exactly.
To rape someone is to knowingly sexually, take advantage of somebody.
You're throwing that person in the same group as people that
seek
out women while they're unconscious. Yeah, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Literally rape them, hold them down, force them. And that's not what is happening here because this girl said we engaged in sex or we started having sex, which would kind of indicate that
she's aware of it.
You're both involved, so I think
the key point here that some people might not know is that she even said in the post that we had sex many times in the past. It was an on and off hookup.
So I mean that
Fuck buddies.
In a way is a communication saying this is probably okay.
Right.
And that's another thing. Okay, if that's technically rape. Then, and I've had this discussion with a few of my other female friends that agree with me on this. If that's considered rape, then I guess we've been raped multiple times, apparently, by boyfriends or whatever. Because not every time are they saying, "Can we do this?" or whatever. Apparently, to them that means rape,
right?
Which I don't think it does. I think if you're in a relationship, sure, don't force your girlfriend to do anything, but
if you're not.
It's kind of those. It's just kind of unspoken. You don't need to say it. You just know.
Right, and I don't want to be somebody who's well, it's not rape unless you're holding them down and da-da-da. He wasn't intimidating her. He wasn't saying, I will hold a gun to your head or I will do something to your family if you don't have sex with me.
I honestly don't think he realized that she was uncomfortable or didn't want to because it was probably in the dark, first of all. How are you supposed to pick up on any signals if she isn't saying stop or don't?
Right, and this happens all the time. Not to get gross with our own sexual life here, but, it happens all the time. Things will just start, maybe you're laying in bed and something just happens, and it happens. It is, I don't...
That's just human
neither
nature.
of us are sitting here asking each other for permission to touch each other.
And, you can if you want to do that in your relationship, like, that's fine. Like, but I think it varies by person to person, by relationship to relationship. You with that person, you discuss
I was about to say,
beforehand.
also discuss those things. If those are if you need to set those parameters,
Yeah.
then set those parameters.
Like,
That's your prerogative.
The main thing, and that, like I said before, is on the fault of both people.
Right.
So that's how I feel. And that, to continue the thing about the sorority noise, like, there are fans of that band that just canceled them right away.
Right away.
And this was just an allegation. Like, he's denied it, I think.
I immediately.
And, but, like, why are we not believing the musicians that you are so-called huge fans of?
Right, you have tattoos of, and now you're like, oh, I just got this tattoo, and then 2 days later, oh, there's an allegation about Cam, one member of Sorority Noise.
Right.
Well, fuck this tattoo, I'm going to have it lasered off today before I even hear any facts.
Like, dude, at least give him a chance to defend himself. What happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Oh, that's way out the window.
Everyone has their own story, and it's just, we're not believing both sides anymore. We're not listening to each side.
Right.
That's the problem.
I do say believe victims, and I also say listen to both sides.
Yeah.
There's no reason. What would be the point of just blindly believing everything that's told to you? You would be taken as the most gullible person in the world if you believed everything that was told to you. And that people would be like, on paper, oh, that's stupid. Of course not. Of course you don't believe everything that's just told to you. But people literally believe everything they see on fucking Twitter or Reddit.
I feel so bad for, like, bands these days because their fans and, like, just the Twitter culture and everything are so rabid about this shit that, like, if one thing goes wrong with one of their members, they literally have no choice but to kick that person out, because if they defend them, like, look at Moose Blood.
Yeah. They literally have
themselves,
and they dropped off the face of the planet.
Like, no one fucking cares about them anymore, and even Movement had to drop off of their tour because I'm sure their fans were giving them shit for touring with them.
And I think that's total bullshit.
I just think it's unfair because
I think it's
that's
total
not
bullshit.
them. They didn't do the crime.
Moose Blood kicked out the member that was an abuser or whatever he was.
Deep and Pierce
and,
the Veil
and with confidence.
So many of these bands are being forced because I feel bad because they have no choice, and it's still gonna ruin things.
Like, that Pierce the Veil, yes, the Pierce the Veil situation is extremely tricky, and I think that he's on hiatus actually with the band. I do hope that Tony comes back. He's the drummer, correct? Was it
his name?
Tony or no? Was it? I can't remember.
It's the other Mike.
Mike Fuentes.
Yeah, his brother.
Ah, that's terrible. See,
I know. So that's even worse.
But he was the drummer.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the drummer of Pierce the Veil's situation was very tricky because I don't even. You know what? I'm not going to talk about the details because I don't have them in front of me. I don't want to spread something I don't know fully. I haven't looked up the situation in a little while, but I just remember the situation and being like, he's getting kicked out after 10 years for this. You've liked this band
something that happened
in
like,
07.
when they were teenagers,
right?
Pretty much. I mean, young adults,
right? And
yeah, like, he should be held responsible for that. But, like,
to say that he can't have a career,
time ago, like, he's not consistently abusing young women. Obviously, that would have came out by now,
like
if he was.
Okay, like I stole a shopping cart from Walmart when I was 16, like so that we could do a recreation of Jackass. Should I be fucking having my YouTube channel taken away?
Apparently.
Like, people make. I admit wholeheartedly that it was a stupid thing to do, but guess what? I was young and stupid, and I wasn't.
Young adults do.
I wasn't educated. I wasn't, an adult, really. I didn't understand consequences of things fully. I mean, I did to an extent, but seriously, I mean, if I had parents who were super involved in my life, think about people who maybe didn't have parents involved in their life and didn't set the guidelines for them.
It's true.
So it's a very weird situation in place that we're in.
It's scary for us, too, because, like, the more relevant you especially get,
the more people look into you and care about everything.
Like, from your past could come out of the fucking woodwork someday and be like, well, John from ARTV dumped me or whatever, and then make it a bigger situation than it was. And it's like, because that literally happened to the bassist or guitarist, fucking Eric from Remo Drive's brother.
Yes.
Happened to him. Like, basically, his ex-girlfriend just tried to do one of those Tumblr post
where
allegations.
He was like,
and all she basically said was like, well, he dumped me and was rude to me after and deleted me from his phone.
Guess what? I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't the nicest thing ever, but it literally happens every fucking day. It's called a relationship.
It's a breakup.
People fight. People get better. People say things that they maybe don't mean.
It
doesn't mean somebody's
evil.
Right. It doesn't mean he's an awful person. And thank God nobody got behind him back.
I know, it was bullshit.
It was bullshit and everyone knew
that's
it.
one of those examples that I feel like she was just trying to be one of those
Right.
people, and it failed, thank God.
But she's like,
But
oh,
I feel like,
I see that, and she waited until the band got signed to Epitaph, too.
like the day after.
The day after they got their record deal and announced it.
Oh, how convenient.
How
like,
convenient
really?
for you to try and fucking ruin their lives.
That's what they want.
Fuck
they
you.
want to ruin careers, and I just
Fuck
think
you.
that's so selfish and awful this day and age. And that brings me to another band, Turnover.
Yes.
Who they removed their member over a year ago who had issues. I think he was abusive in his relationship or something.
Right.
They kicked him out.
Instantly.
Like, right away.
It was literally like they saw a tick on their arm and they chopped off the arm right away. That's what it was.
People are still, I see tweets to this day about like, oh, like people still support Turnover. I'm like, I
they do.
support fucking Turnover.
Of course I do.
Because they're great.
Yeah, I support the fuck out of them.
And they kicked out that dude, so why the fuck are we throwing everyone else under the bus? They didn't do anything.
Just because there was one weed in a field full of grass doesn't mean that we kill the entire fucking field, you know?
I mean, think about this. Everyone has a group of friends. If one of them, like, does something stupid, like, does that mean all of you did something stupid? Like, not necessarily.
And maybe,
know.
even though even though you're not as close with that friend anymore, should you maybe take the opportunity to try, and instead of saying fuck you at every given opportunity, you abusive piece of shit, should we maybe, I don't know, try and educate them and try to reform them so that they could rejoin society as a contributing member?
Nope,
but apparently that's out the fucking window. It's cancel culture. In a way, I hate to say fuck cancel culture because there's people who genuinely, like, I could do a podcast about all of the people who deserved what was coming to them. All of the horrible people, all of the monsters. But at the same time, I mean, this is, I feel like, more necessarily because no one's talking about this. It's not that no one's talking about it, but I don't think that enough people in a place of any kind of social media following are talking about it, and I think that's why Brendan Urie saying something was so inspiring to me to come out and do this podcast.
Yeah, we were discussing that this morning, and I'm really glad that he has that stance on it.
I am too, and that's not the most popular stance to have.
Yeah.
But kudos to him.
Yeah,
seriously.
For sure.
The final person that I think I want to touch on, I guess there's, we'll talk about this. Brockhampton, that situation. We briefly saw a little bit of their set at Boston Calling when we were there for the music festival, but that was their last performance before they kicked out their member Amir Van. And he was one of the primary rappers in a huge boy band, quote unquote. They call themselves a boy band. I think it's a little bit of a joke, but also, that is a collection of people that do a lot of things. Amir was kicked out due to a troubled past, a lot of things that happened, and I don't know all of the details, but I found it to be kind of like, they obviously took their time. They found out about the allegations at the beginning of May, and then right after Boston Calling, which was the end of May, they finally kicked him out. That was their first performance without him, and their first performance before going back on Jimmy Fallon and debuting some different styled music.
Wow.
The Amir situation was, I think, unfortunate because I really don't know the full story there, but I think that everyone was very quick to assume his entire life story and that he, was just an abuser of women, someone that took advantage of women.
We didn't see, but we heard that they were
crying.
Really upset, and I think part of that is probably because they had to let him go and
they
didn't want to.
They didn't want to because it's their friend.
But that's what I mean. Like, they have no fucking choice or else they're going to get canceled.
Your hands, it's like you're in prison. Your hands are cuffed behind your back and somebody's holding your head to the fucking cement wall saying, do this or your band is canceled.
Exactly. And that's what's happening every single time with these bands. And I feel bad because they have no choice.
Right, and again,
to throw someone under the bus.
And again, I'm not in this specific situation with Brockhampton. I don't know. In fact, I think that he definitely did do some bad things. But also, when were these mistakes? What happened? Has he shown that he's learned since then? We never got a chance to learn those things because he was just removed. And
just take one side, and that's the only story.
And now it'll be taboo to talk about in interviews. People are gonna ask them softball questions in interviews if anybody interviews Brockhampton and stuff. But I just don't know. We never know the artist fully, obviously.
as a person. Yeah.
I had seen various interviews with Amir, and obviously I'm a fan of Brockhampton's music. I think Amir was one of the best things about the group. I hope that they continue on, and I know that they are. They're putting out new music. They have a Beats One radio show now, apparently, that's been given to them. But still, it'll be interesting to see, because I think that that's got to take a toll on a band mentally.
Absolutely.
To lose one of your best friends that's been in the group from the start, one of the founders, one of the key components to your working machine. Anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up there. It's been a very good discussion, I think. I enjoyed this. I hope that you guys did too. Make sure that if you want to, of course, leave a like on this podcast. Maybe check it out if you wanted the audio-only version to listen to again or something. It's on SoundCloud. Scrub around. Listen to some parts that you might have accidentally tuned out for. Thank you for tuning in. If you listen to the whole podcast, we appreciate it. I do hope that people don't listen to certain parts of the podcast and once again assume that they've gotten our entire view on things.
Yeah, please listen to the whole discussion.
Because I do think that it's a worthwhile one. Keep in mind, this is in no way us defending the people that have done horrible things. I think that the actions that we're well aware of, the ones that actually happened, are indefensible. And it's not that I'm defending their actions. It's me saying, let's set a path for people. It's like people give the second chance youth a second chance. Obviously, it's in the title right there, right?
Yeah,
the kids who went wayward, the people who did wrong, or a second chance. It's like companies that hire felons, like Lowe's Hardware and other places. It's a second chance opportunity, because guess what? Even because you did something so horrible, it doesn't ever mean that you're, obviously it does for some people, but for a lot of people, if you did something like you stole or you did assault someone, it doesn't mean that you can never be reformed and come back into life. There's obviously people that, never deserve that. Like Larry Nassar, the abuser with the Olympics. Yeah. And
that was another one with a pattern, a consistent
pattern.
Repetition
we need
of
to,
that act.
Right. We obviously know that is what an abuser is. And somebody like Harvey Weinstein, who constantly abused his position and was just a fucking monster and also a coward at the same time. Fuck those people. Fuck them. They can rot in fucking jail. But or on death row, if it's available to them, then I'm not going to be opposed. I'm not going to lose sleep over if somebody like that gets the death sentence. But there's also people who deserve a second chance to redeem themselves, or just a chance. We need to allow them the chance to show themselves.
Yeah, I think we need to take a step back for a second and just think is this worth this much?
Is this worth ruining this person's life?
Ruining their career and making such a huge deal?
Or could we maybe even
true?
Right. And a lot of these situations could easily be fixed by somebody reaching out to somebody privately, but people want the fucking attention.
They want the media attention.
They want the media attention. They want the retweets. They want the followers. They want the attention that they're going to get. Yeah, it's sad that anybody would ever try to ruin somebody's career for fucking followers.
It's funny because you and I think, said one time, we were gonna possibly do, this little experiment thing where, we created an account that was gonna come after you with allegations and see, how many people actually believed it. And just to prove that,
And maybe we'll still do that. This is proof for anybody tuning in this far into the podcast at the very end. I know
there's not a ton of you that listen here,
but still, I think maybe we'll do that. And you've got the proof right here. Maybe someday we'll make evidence against either myself or Hannah or both of us that we did something, and it'll be completely fake. We'll start up a fake account. We'll either buy some followers or follow a ton of people and try to get follows back.
How many people just turn on us that fast?
Right. See how many people
to prove a point,
and then obviously make a video on it right after, addressing the allegations or something like that. So stay tuned for that. If that ever happens in the future, you OG fans will know exactly what the fuck's going on, and you can go ahead and start saying.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell them. Let us make the video. Just if you have to say anything, just reply and be like, wait for his response. And then you'll fucking see. Yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Not a Podcast. Make sure you check out Infinity on Hannah's channel. Yeah. It is linked down below along with her Twitter. All of my social links are down there. We stream on Twitch as well, so go follow us over there, twitch.tv/ARTV Games. We stream Mondays at 4, and then we still haven't totally cemented the second day, but that's normally my solo day, Thursdays or Fridays. Make sure you tune in and follow me on Twitch, or even subscribe to help support. And if you would like to help out the podcast and the channel in general, then donate on Patreon at the top link down below. Other than that, that's it for this episode, and we'll see you soon for more Not a Podcast.